Well, good afternoon. It's Saturday, June 18th, and I'm being I'm being held prisoner by a really strange loop, um, wherein I wind up writing something and then recording it days later, and quite frankly, I don't understand what that's all about. But it's the reality I'm dealing with, so I'll take it. This blog post was particularly difficult to write because I was trying to reflect uh, something that's really important to me, and that is how the blog has evolved and different elements of what it's meant to me and to others based upon the feedback that I've gotten. In this particular blog post involves an experience that I had at the City of Hope last Sunday morning, which is, I mean, it's not such a strange experience, but it's strange for people that are not involved. The City of Hope on Sundays, or on the weekends in general, but on Sundays particularly, is a really strange place to be. I mean, if you're there during the week, which most people are, the place is the high watermark of orchestrated chaos. I mean, everybody knows what they're doing, and they have to because things are happening so quickly all around you, and there are so many people on the campus that it's very easy to get lost. Both physically lost and lost psychologically while you're there, because it can be overwhelming. I mean, it was overwhelming for me for years after I started going there. So Sunday mornings or weekends in general, on the other hand, are empty. They're eerily quiet. Parking lots empty, which is really never the case. Parking is a real problem at the City of Hope now that there's so much construction going on, and it's always busy. I mean, there are more people in need of help than there's physical space to get it done. That's why the expansion is so important to all of us who go to the City of Hope for healing. And Sunday mornings are set aside for infusions that aren't necessarily critical. I mean, all infusions are critical by definition. There's something wrong with you and they need to put something back in your body, or they need to put something in your body that needs to be there. In my case, I was there for an IVIG infusion, an infusion of immunoglobulin G, which is a really important factor in fighting disease. And for whatever reason, my body stopped making it. So I get an infusion, my numbers go back to where they're supposed to be within the normal range for, male adults. And then over a period of just about 3 months, you can watch the numbers fall. I mean, they just crater. And then you need another infusion. But even though it's quiet Sunday mornings, and those mornings are reserved for less critical infusions, or infusions that just need to get done and couldn't get done during the work week, the normal Monday through Friday week, there are still people that are there. And despite the fact that it seems empty, it's not. There's a lot of people that are still working there, and there are an awful lot of people that still go there. This last Sunday morning, I was in the waiting room, and the waiting rooms they're really very well laid out. There's room for social distancing. You're not on top of one another, but it's still pretty compact. So if somebody's on the phone, even if they're trying to be discreet, it's really difficult to do that while you have other people that are sitting around. In this particular instance, there was a woman sitting to my immediate right. Obviously, I say obviously a cancer patient, but obviously a cancer patient, and if you know what to look for, the signs were all there. And it turns out she was on the telephone with a friend of hers, and it was a really bizarre conversation. And it was obvious that she was getting frustrated, and that's not hard to do, unfortunately. If you find yourself explaining your illness to somebody else who doesn't really understand it and doesn't want to accept what you're trying to tell them, the reality of what you're facing. And a conversation was something like this. She was saying, no, Roberta, no, I'm not in remission. And I'm definitely not cancer-free. You know, I'm here to get a chemotherapy infusion, and I'm starting another regimen of chemotherapy. You know, with the kind of cancer I have, you can go into remission, but not forever. You know, the statistical probability is that you're going to fall out of remission at some point and have to start the process of chemo all over again. And that's why I'm here. And, you know, I was thinking to myself how fortunate I am that I'm just there for an IVIG infusion. And remembering back to the time when I was a chemo patient. And I was in the infusion room getting my chemotherapy pre-transplant. And what that was like. And it was particularly meaningful to me. It was poignant in a way to me because of the difficulty she was having trying to explain the reality of being a cancer patient to someone who, thank God, doesn't know, you know, hasn't got a clue. And, you know, the fact that you face a different kind of reality, and even if your doctor, even if your hematologist tells you, even if your clinician tells you that you're in remission, or cancer-free, for that matter, there's a part of you that's never going to believe them, especially if you've been under treatment for a long time, because you've seen people drop in and drop out of remission. You've seen people that have gone through more than one regimen of chemotherapy and radiation as well. And, you know, the reality that you face is the hand you've been dealt. I mean, and if you're going to survive, then you have to figure out a way to wend your way through that successfully. This became even more meaningful in a number of different respects. I go for the IVIG infusions. I also get infusions for pain management, for the shingles that I've been dealing with for over 1.5 years, almost 2 years. And they're difficult. It's 8 hours. I mean, it's for Leslie and me, it's getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, and driving to the City of Hope. And, you know, in this particular case, I had to have blood work done at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I had to wait for the results before I could get the IVIG infusion. And there's always something going on about it. I'm not whining. I'm not complaining. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm just stating reality. It's just, you know, it's just not lying in bed on Sunday morning watching the Sunday morning show, which is something that I'd probably rather be doing. But what made this even more meaningful, I think, in a number of different ways, is I really believed that the woman that was on the telephone had a deep understanding of where she was and what her life was all about. And it was interesting because Jimmy Kimmel had on Jeff Bridges. Leslie and I taped that show. And, you know, we watch it from time to time. And Bridges was on, you know, touting his latest movie. or latest TV show, really, rather. And he was talking about the fact that he had been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma back in the middle of the pandemic, and how grateful he was in many respects that he had been diagnosed, because it changed him in so many powerful, positive, and profound ways. And he looked at it as a gift. And I look at my cancer, quite frankly, as a gift in a number of different ways, because it taught me what was important and what to focus on and what to be grateful for. And the small things, the wondrous things, you know, love and family and friends and things that we get so busy we often take for granted. This woman, I think, really understood that in a whole different way than a number of other people might. And you know, it's a gift of love. It's a gift of appreciation for others and the power of joy and gratitude. And you know, I'm not suggesting that it's worth getting cancer, because it's not. But if God forbid you wind up with that diagnosis, it would be wise to look for the small gifts that can be left at your feet while you're in treatment. Not the least of which is to save your time for those who add joy to your life and those who add meaning to your life. Those small gifts are likely to change your attitude, and changing your attitude is just about guaranteed to change just about everything else. I'll leave you with that to think about, the blog to read. I included the interview with Jeff Bridges just so that you can see it. In the meantime, stay well and take care.